Ladies and gentlemen, this is our last session for today, and the topic is keeping up with technology. Everyone needs a strategy to keep up with technology, but members in particular need to understand how technology helps them to work better, smarter, and more accurately, and how to use technology to collaborate with colleagues and clients. According to younger members, it is especially important to understand how technology can impact your job. Our moderator for this session is Karuna Gopal once again. Karuna, can we have you up on stage, please? Karuna is the president for the Foundation for Futuristic Cities. Our panelists include Mr. Paul Ramsbottom. Paul, can we have you up on stage too, please? There's no denying Paul is excited by the technology he works with, but he understands that technology isn't an end unto itself. It's a means to an end. Paul gained his unique perspective for not-for-profits from the inside. Over the last 20 years, he has worked with more professional bodies, industry associations, charities, and fundraisers than most people would gather in several professional lifetimes. And our second panelist for this session is Sikha Singh. Can we have you up on stage, please? She joined the Association of Public Health Laboratories in 2009 and is a manager within the newborn screening and genetics in the public health program. She manages programmatic activities with a keen focus on quality improvement initiatives. She holds a Master of Health Science degree from the Johns Hopkins University and a Bachelor of Science from the Temple University. She enjoys traveling and remains actively involved in a non-profit organization that supports empowering the girl child through offering access to educational resources in rural North India.
It's good.
I think you make your presentation?
Yeah, we can get started.
Okay, that's really nice.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Lovely to be here. A very difficult panel session to follow after that last session on leadership. We're here to talk about technology, and we're going to try a few things to try and get you into using technology. I hope the technology works today. Sometimes technology doesn't work, but we're going to give it a try today. We're going to get you to do some polling for us and to use your phones and to give us some feedback on how you currently see technology in your own organisations. But before we get started on the polls, we have some opening statements to make. And I'd like to start first by saying that technology doesn't change the core business of your associations. And even if you look at things like social media, which is significantly disrupting most of the world, social media is about bringing people together, which is what you as associations have done for centuries. It's not new to your business, it's just a new way of working a little faster, with a little more reach, with a bit more interaction, but it's the same core business of an association, and you could argue that social media, as an example, is a wonderful opportunity for associations to build on what they already do. So technology doesn't change your business, but it does give you some additive advantages. And I know that word's been used a few times in the last couple of days. It gives you access to four areas. Firstly, things happen faster. So for example, you could email a newsletter out to your members today. If you have a news alert, maybe the lawyers are on strike and you need to email out a news alert, you can do that within literally minutes. In the past, that might have been 2 weeks in the mail, or it may have been 6 hours on the fax machine. So speed, things can happen very quickly. We can also scale. We can get to 1,000 people as easily as we can get to 10 people. So it lets us scale beyond our imagination. And if you look at currently at, say, the Ice Bucket Challenge, which is doing the rounds for ALS, that's reached probably 1 billion people in the space of less than 7 days. The third thing is automation. Technology can help you automate things. If someone registers for an event to attend your conference, you can automatically email them a confirmation. You might be able to send them a text message to remind them that the event is on tomorrow. So we can use automation to save some work. And then finally, the fourth area is in analytics. And analytics allows you to analyse data, to analyse trends, to do benchmarking, to understand where members are coming to your organisation. Are they coming to your website? Are they reading your emails? Are they calling you by telephone? The technology gives you access to analytics to help you refine your business and refine your membership experience. So that's really the core opening statement. Now, just to come back to this key topic of technology doesn't change the business, I'd like to hand over now to Sikha to give some feedback on a recent survey from Marketing General, which I think Ed referred to earlier today.
So we wanted to kind of bring this back to the context of associations, and as Paul mentioned, there was a survey done earlier this year, and you can see that the gold standard still, as the most effective marketing channel to reach new members, is, of course, word of mouth recommendations. But a close second and third are email and the association website. So this is proof positive that technology is not only pervasive, it's prevalent, it's a necessary imperative in this day and age. We also have that followed by direct mail, promotion to or at your own conference and trade shows, and finally personal sales calls, which I don't think anyone really appreciates. We've talked a lot today about, today and yesterday, about improving engagement both within your staff and with your members, as well as improving performance. So we won't really harp on that today, but again, technology is a huge piece of this. We're gonna spend, I guess, maybe the next 10 minutes engaging everyone here, trying to use a new technology. As Paul said, hopefully it works. If it doesn't, we'll go back to the basics, and then we'll work with the panel and have some open discussion following.
Okay, so what we'd like to do is we want to get an idea of how tech you are in the room today. We'd like to know if you're tech people, like if you're geeks. Maybe there's some geeks in the room. Maybe some of you don't use technology at all. So we'd actually like to run a live poll to see when you woke up this morning, what was the first bit of technology that you used? Did you read the newspaper? Did you turn on your television? Did you go to your phone and look at your email on your phone or social media, Facebook on your phone? Did you use your computer or laptop? Or did you do something else? So let me just flick across to our live. Now, to do this, you need to get your phones out. So hopefully people have got phones. You can do it either via text message. So you can send a text message, or you can go to that website. So we'll have a go getting our phones out.
So are they gonna, oh, they're doing it.
Yes? And you need to send a text message to that number on the screen, so 61429883481. And in the body of the text message, you need to put one of those 5 numbers. So if you read the newspaper first thing, you need to text 306478 as the text message. So I'll give it a couple of minutes to do that. Everyone got a phone? To see if people know no phone? No phone? No phone?
Oh.
Let's have a look. Okay, so we've got, this is going to show us a live. So the numbers are the same. If you wanted to use your phone, you can go to that web URL, polev.com/IAC14. So as you send those numbers in, it'll show up on the screen. So you want to see the numbers again? Sure. So if you have a laptop or a smartphone, you can go online to that polev.com. That's incorrect. polev.com. polev.com/IAC14. Yes, you're right. Let me fix that. Confusion, everyone. How about that? Very bad. There we go. Try that. polev.com/IAC, which is the Indian Association Congress 14.
Maybe the following ones we can just show hands.
You think? Okay.
So what's the organization?
Association of Public Health Laboratories.
Oh, okay.
Washington, D.C.
Okay, it's Association of
Public Health.
Public.
Everyone got those numbers?
Okay.
I'll flip back to have a look at how we're tracking. Not too much so far. Refresh? Okay.
Let's try maybe a show of hands.
It takes about 30 seconds to come through. Well, all right, we've got a couple of minutes. Oh, okay. It is an international number, so they might be blocked. Okay.
Are you in Delhi or
I'm based out of Hyderabad.
Hyderabad?
Been there? Okay.
I've heard it's great though.
Yes.
Okay.
There you go. Well done. Very good.
Wow.
Very good. Good message. Well done. It's not shown. I've lost
So
my
wanted
internet
to
connection.
A show of hands, maybe?
Still trying to come through.
Too many.
It's probably my internet here that's not now showing. It is, this is a lesson. It is a lesson.
Yeah,
No, now I've got no internet here, so it does require an internet connection. That is a problem.
do you think we should move on?
I think we should.
Yeah.
I was going to
Just
see
to
if we
show
had
hands.
any numbers there at all, but there is no internet. One last go. All right, let's work on a show of hands. We'll go back to old technology. We'll use a show of hands. I'll get a pen and write this down. So let's have a look at newspaper first thing today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, 17 for that.
I can do this.
Oh, yeah, okay, 17. Okay, let's look at television.
I don't have a piece of
Television. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. Television 7. All right, who's used your smartphone, mobile phone? Wow, look at that. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 30, 35 at a guess? Yeah? 35. Laptop or computer? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Anyone do anything else? Yeah, tablets, smartphone, tablet. Yeah, okay, we'll count you as a smartphone. A big smartphone. Anyone do anything else besides? Alarm clock. Radio. I guess radio is probably a good point. Radio, any radio? No? Radio? Okay, so that, what were the numbers? What did we get? So out of a total of 70 responses, 50% were smartphones. So half the room was smartphone. And believe it or not, that's pretty much the same as the West. So we did this survey last year at an association conference in Melbourne, and 50% was smartphone. The next was newspaper, and so that was 17, which is around a quarter. So think about that. So not in terms of what does it mean for you. I think it does mean you're a fairly high-tech audience, but think about that in terms of member context. What do you think your members are doing first thing of a morning? Are your members checking their smartphone? And if so, are you there? Are you part of their morning experience? You as your association, because you just said half of you are doing this yourself. So just in the back of your mind. Well, let's go to the next survey. So we won't use the text, so don't bother doing text messaging. That was a little complicated, so we won't do that. Let's just go to, again, a show of hands. What do you think your organisation's primary communication channel, and of course we know that you have more than one, but what do you think is your primary communication channel with members? Firstly, is there a journal or a scientific magazine, a publication that you issue on a monthly or quarterly basis? Who has journal as a primary communication tool? None? Zero? One? Good. Typically, scientific journals are very common for medical organisations. Okay, one.
Journals are very common.
Events, meetings and events. So events like today, we get together for networking and learning. Who would have meetings and events as a primary communication channel? Good. 2, 3. Okay, what about a email newsletter, an e-newsletter? Could be weekly, could be email. Email, yeah, email. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, email or e-newsletter. Yeah, email. Both. Both. Email or newsletter.
I got it.
Okay, good. And then finally, your website. Do you believe your website is your primary communication channel?
Got it.
Okay. Yes, Ed. Yes. Yes. It wasn't on the survey that we were copying of. In your case, social media is primary?
Yeah.
Good question. So anyone using social media, so Facebook or Twitter, as a primary communication channel? Yeah, 6 or 7, yeah. Good, good. Okay, so in that list we have 60%, 65% of e-newsletter. And less than 5% for journals and face-to-face meetings. So I think that's interesting in terms of certainly looking back at the previous survey on word of mouth being a primary acquisition channel, yet really through email, which is a one-way communication mechanism. You don't have that two-way word of mouth connectivity with email. But certainly this is a very high-tech audience, so that's the response rates are in line with Western Australia and US-based associations. So nothing significantly different about what you're doing here with technology in terms of these areas than organisations in the West. Anyone have any questions about or any comments to add on this particular topic about primary communication? Ed had a great comment on social media being increasingly a primary. Yes, question over there.
You were just discussing the same
Yes. Yes, so that's a good point. So your tactics with email marketing is to drive traffic to your website, because emails are very hard to read in long format.
Yeah.
You can't read a long journal article on your phone. So to have them come to your website.
In that case, we ask them to look at the website and again provide the information in the newsletter format, the e-newsletter format, so where they can see more of their interest, or some of their interest, they can go to the particular page.
Yes.
Okay.
Good point. All right, speaking of newsletters and email marketing, let's have another set of questions. Again, you can ignore the text message, we won't use that. Let's just do a show of hands. We're looking now at how many emails do you send to members every week? And this is on average across the year if you have variable things, but average number of emails sent to members per week. Firstly, show of hands for those that do on average 1 email per week.
Is it all members or any?
Broadcast.
Broadcast, yes. So to all, broadcast electronic marketing. 1 email per week. 1 email per week. 1. Okay, good. All right, show of hands now for 2 emails per week.
No emails.
Okay, 2. Now, 3, show of hands for 3 emails per week.
3 emails per week.
Not many so far. All right, let's look at 4 or more emails per week. 0. Who doesn't send emails? All right, now I'm confused because half of you said that you use email marketing as your primary tool, yet...
Yeah, that's all. Less than 1.
Less than 1?
Averaging.
Okay, so...
Once a fortnight, yeah.
Okay, well
I think-
I'll ask again. So let's do 1 or less.
Yeah, 1 or less.
Between 0 and 1 per
Quite
week
a
on
few,
average.
Gopal.
There we go. There's our missing numbers. Yes? Oh, of course, there's... Yes. Yes, so conferences time you may do more, but on average across the course of the year. What do you think in the USA that the average number of emails per week is for a US association? What do you think the number would be? In the US, for US associations, what do you think the average number of emails per members per week is? Broadcast. So, yell numbers out. Just on average. 20? 1? Most people think 1. The number is actually 4. So the average in the survey from this year was 4 emails per week. And if you're a trade association, that could be 5 emails per week. Does that surprise people? 4 emails per week?
Like we have issues, sometimes members come back overload. So that's why we restricted max to 1 or only even waste.
Actually, most of them are culture related. So, how we are, let's say, programmed culturally. So for us, we believe that it's an overload and bombarding with a lot of messages.
Yes.
So,
Well, at the organiser, you have some rules to share those rules?
Go ahead, Ed.
Well, the question I would throw out is more the question, rather how many per week. Oh, sorry, thank you. Rather than how many per week, what's the analytics for how many being open? Because
Good question.
in the U.S., the numbers of I work with quite a number of associations, and if they're lucky, they're getting a 10% open rate. So, I think that we have to really reevaluate because we are overloading, and I know that as an example, Arlene, don't listen to this. As an example, ASAE sends out 17 a day, and I don't read them. It's just too much. And I think that's becoming a huge reality.
Yes. The average industry rate is around 30% across industry. That's the industry rate for e-newsletters, but it's what the research currently shows.
I think my experience is that if you use a right mix of communication, if just emails can be really monotonous and can be very painful, but if you use a right mix, like, maybe communicate using social media, send Facebook messages or use a blog post or Twitter, use different channels of communication and use a different exciting mix of communication, then I think people are more open to getting the messages from any association or organization. And I think we've seen several, success stories there.
Right, so these are all great points. Within my association, Ed, to kind of answer that question, we have a policy. So we can't send more than one broadcast message per day to the entire membership because data has shown that those emails simply won't be opened. But to your earlier point, there is some longevity associated with emails. So while I might not open all 17 from ASAE in one day, I'll peruse through them, I'll know that they're in my inbox, and I'll know where to go to get them, as opposed to an electronic newsletter, for example, which when it's replaced with the latest issue, it's a little bit more difficult to go into an archive and find what you need. And to your point, with technology, it is multidimensional. That's why we are asking questions prefaced by what is your primary mode of communication. So with technology, you're going to have multiple modes of communication and kind of trying to convey that. But even though word of mouth is still the #1 way, technology is increasingly becoming more used. So our final survey question, what technology investment would have the single greatest impact on your organization? Okay. How about video trainings, using technology to do educational outreach?
We need to see some hands here.
I'm a little surprised at that one. And how about using mobile tools for members or facilitating the use of mobile tools? Okay.
What's everyone else going to be doing? If you had to make an investment, not saying that you are, but if you had to make an investment, would you choose membership database? If you had to, not saying you will, but if you had to, would you choose that first option? Does that change the number of hands? No? Would you choose to do website? So we're really saying that, not saying you are going to make the investment, but if you had to make a decision on an investment,
Okay.
which would you choose?
I think website and video training will also, for if I am going to make an investment.
Okay, so we had a pretty mixed bag of answers, but one of the most hands that I saw was for social media platforms, and that's an upcoming tool that's being used in technology. Social media is no longer a fad, it's a trend that's here to stay. Let's talk about that for a little bit. What does social media mean? How pervasive is it right now? Social media has taken over porn as the #1 activity on the web. Who thought that that day would come? We have 96% of 20 to 40-year-olds on social media, and that number is probably not accurate. It's probably closer to 100%, right? We have online students. There was a 2009 survey done by the US Department of Education demonstrating that online students outperform those receiving face-to-face instruction. So that goes to show that using webinars and virtual tools to do your educational outreach is probably a good idea within associations as well. And 80% of Twitter usage is conducted on mobile devices. That means that you can update anytime, anywhere, and it's a big deal. Finally.
Well, I think on that last point, there's been a number of discussions today in particular about younger membership and accessing younger membership, and I think you can't ignore that, the previous slide on social media. That is where the young people of today are, and I think many of you recognise that by saying that if you had to make an investment in technology, you would choose to make it in mobile and social technology tools. And I think that's you recognise that point, that the young members are predominantly on social media, and I think in Ed's case, you're saying that your primary communication channel is now social, not through traditional website and email terms. Anyone like to talk about an experience they've had with social media? Anyone had a positive experience to share on social media, or a negative experience they'd like to share on social media with the room? Sir, yes?
I talked earlier about the organization which I had, and we had some sort of conflict with the government, and our students on our social media, they went on accusing us of not doing it, giving all sorts of accusations. What do you say? Also calling by names, and I wish I should have not put them on my social media. So that's also happens.
Okay, let me just talk about, are you done presenting or would you like to sit down? Well, good afternoon to all of you again. I think you see me here. I still have my migraine, but I managed to be here again. You know, it's very interesting to talk about technology for the simple reason that I have started my career in that area. So I was trained in relational databases like Oracle back in '87, and I did the longest ever programming in COBOL many years ago, and I really dread to go back there. But when you, being a very traditional coding person, when I saw the power of social media, I thought it's, as the word used was disruptive, yes, completely disruptive. And so powerful that it can really change your approach, the ways you can reach out people, the way you can influence the community, etc. I'll give a simple analogy. I don't know if anyone of you has studied French here. Anyone with French? There you are. All right, so I'll use your country's example. If you have to say 97 in French, you will have to say 97. 4 is 4, y is 20, 4 into 20 is 80, d is 10, 80 plus 10 is 90, set is 7. See how difficult it is to say 97. This was the traditional way of looking at technology and the usage. But if you have to say 97 so simply in English, that is the current social media that we are using. You don't have to go through the process of really putting a lot of things together. It's that simple, especially for someone like me who's been there and then who's trying to use this current technology. Social media, my friends, is so powerful that it can really create a community for you. You can raise membership, you can raise funds, you can incentivize people for becoming a part of your associations. I'll give a simple example. Almost 8 years ago, we did a program for which I requested people to work with us. There's this young boy who volunteered to mobilize a lot of people, mobilize funds, and to clean up one heritage monument in my city. That particular monument is 400 years old and is almost like a mini city. This person has just used only Facebook. He mobilized more than 500 people. They would come diligently and clean up that monument every Sunday morning. And when people wanted to know what was the incentive for doing that, he said he created fan pages. People would like to see their faces. People would like to be appreciated. The Facebook likes created so much of excitement for those boys. And now he's devising different strategies. Today he's actually taking their interviews, putting them up there, creating a content, and maybe he's selling the content as well, so he's become an entrepreneur. So there's huge amount of opportunity if you look at Facebook, how to really look at Twitter. But the reason I grabbed the mic is to just say one thing, and also my friend's observation there that he posted something and there was a negative comment. The most important thing we should realize is social media is available for all of us to really use that, but we must have a strategy. If we don't have a strategy, we're making the fundamental mistake of just jumping into the fire without even being prepared. We might really end up messing it up so badly. I think it's important to have a strategy to understand the community you're dealing with, the kind of language you have to use, the kind of negotiation you need to present there. So there is a strategy, there is a plan, there is a, the outcome has to be seen. I think that's something that I wanted to say. Anything else? I think you did.
Yes, sir, in the middle.
Well, I have started using social media not very long back. But one problem I have, that every day, get up in the morning and you find so many things to read, and then you really lose focus. Suppose you want to concentrate on say, some CIM or something. So many things are there, apart from your own emails, your own interesting things. So it's really becoming difficult. How long can you spend on your mobile phone?
That is a wonderful point. So I'm going to put the question back to you. So your members are in the same position. They're waking up every morning and they've got all this bombardment of news and emails and news. You think about traditionally the role of your association a few years ago when you had your journal and you had your newsletters, you would take the world's news, or you would take your chapter's news, and you would pick out the best stories on behalf of your members and send them a newsletter. So you were doing that job for them. You were removing all the clutter, and you were communicating the most important points of the day or of the week to your members. That's the role of an editor. We call it curation, is another word, to curate content. And it's what editors do. Publishers and editors do that. So you think about that from your perspective of your association. How can you do that now electronically, so you can take all of the news feeds from around the world or around your village and distill the most important pieces of the day's news and give your members a digest of what's important to them? And that's a role that leading associations play now actively, and they do a great job of it. And you need to think about doing that using technology electronically, just like you used to do with the journals many years ago. So I know it's a problem for you, but it's a bigger problem for your members, and you can actually solve that problem for your members.
So that's what Karuna said about a strategy.
You need to have a strategy.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know, for people like us who work with the governments and try to influence policy, we have a communication strategy, and we really understand, different sections and different stakeholders and how each one has to be addressed. And so we develop a strategy. I'll give an example. At one time, when we wanted the entire community, different stakeholders to really get a message, we won't give them the entire message in one mail, or, we would send out teasers, sometimes just put a picture and then don't tell them what that was, or sometimes write something and excite them. And we used multiple, ways to get them to really come to the website to get the entire story. So it's like giving them excerpts from maybe, some story to excite them. And YouTube, my friends, 1.5 minutes of video is going to really push people to compel them to visit your sites. That I can vouch for. So if you can really have something fantastic to say about what your organization is doing or how it is impacting lives or what it's done, just 1 minute YouTube is going to really push a lot of people into your site.
Any other questions? So here.
It's not a question, rather it's an experience of using social media. I have a couple of good experiences using social media. In 2011, we organized a conference called IndieCon. So we made a Facebook page and Twitter page and connected all those members of our community and people who were interested to present papers and all those in the conferences. It is a national conference, but we received several papers from SAARC countries also, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and some other countries. And at the end of the day, after registrations, they were refused the visa. And some people got it delayed or something like that. So the problem was in IEEE conferences, we have a policy that if your paper is accepted, you have to come to the conference and present it until or unless, otherwise it will be discarded and it will not be included in the Explore library. So we had those members on Facebook, and we also had the reviewers on the same community page. So what we did is we instructed them to frame your paper in a kind of poster so that every information is not made public, because it is a copyrighted issue. So frame it as a poster, put it on the Facebook, and the reviewers went ahead and reviewed those things. And it was a closed group. Facebook gives you that freedom. So it was a closed group, and the papers were reviewed with the help of Facebook pages only, and then we could send those papers finally to the library. So this is how we use the social media apart from adding the members and all those things.
See, such a fantastic thing they have done. I mean, it is I would say beyond social media. You know, you normally, unless you stretch yourselves to see what the product can offer, you normally don't see, and I think that's the power of social media that you've experienced, and I'm really glad.
One more thing, what we did, usually that I nowadays do in my conferences usually, for the panel discussions specifically, when we used to take the questions from the audience, we ask all of them to go to the Twitter page of this conference what we make, and whatever photographs or videos you are putting, you just shoot out onto the Twitter so that everybody gets all those things, what photographs maybe I will be willing to have and I'm not having it. And specifically for the discussions in the panel discussions, we ask them to put your views onto the Twitter page of that, our event or conference or something like that, and we will choose from those topics only and we will put them into the panel discussions. So that also makes it very interactive, and we don't usually take that questions.
You see the Pan IIT meets, I think practically everything is, there are podcasts for everything. I think there's a huge opportunity. I'd like you to say something.
Yeah, so to that point, I do think that you have to be really careful, and the association does have to have a policy, because people will tweet what they want to tweet. It might not be accurate information that they're getting from your conference, so they're gleaning information, but it could be wrong. So you could think about having a dedicated staff, at least for the duration of the meeting, to make sure that what's being put out there in a public forum is accurate, because afterward, it'll be searched. So for the people who weren't able to attend, if they go and they look for information, particularly for a technical meeting, I work in a public health association, and we need to be really careful about the information that we put out there pertaining to outbreaks. Because it's public, because Twitter can't be protected, people can then see that, and it can be misuse of information, and it can cause panic and so on. So my advice would be just to make sure that for these dedicated events, you have staff that's looking at what's being put out there, and that they're accurately portraying what your association does and not compromising its integrity.
But for that, I think it is specifically used for some meetings and specific conferences, and we make terms and conditions before people go onto that page. Even if you are putting your pictures and all, we just ask them to accept those terms and conditions that whatever photographs you are shooting here, it can be made public, and it is all your own risk.
You know, if you see our own political parties, just to digress and tell you, if you see our political parties, you know, they are not uniform. You know, so someone says something, somebody else says something, they negate it, and then there's a public debate, and all the television channels are completely occupied. That's because of this kind of a thing. I think the caution that she's mentioned about has to be exercised, and there's a lot that can be done. It's a double-edged sword. I think one of the gurus of Twitter, I forget his name, he said that Twitter is a great place to tell the world what you're thinking before you had a chance to think about it. So, you know, you have your public platform, you can talk about it, you can publicize it, you can really influence the world, but remember, it's a double-edged sword. You know, it can really work for you, or it can really go dead against you.
And I have one more comment. Sorry, real quick. I think we need to be careful also about how we use social media. So it's very transitory, it's very quick, it's of the moment. If you want something to have longevity, then go back to your journal articles and your website, and be cautious how you're sharing information. Make sure that you have the audience that you want captured, and if it's more than just fleeting, make sure that you advertise it and share it as such.
Just in final comment, if we could have the slides back, please, on the screen. Just a final comment to close with around technology. It does impact every part of your business, but you don't have to become an expert yourself. You do need to consider the skill sets and the competencies you need to have on your staff. And I think most importantly, you need to have someone on your executive leadership team that understands technology. Technology is in every decision and every part of your business, and if you don't have someone on your executive management team that is the technology person, you need to add that person to your team. The last thing is you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Things are already set in motion. People know how to use Facebook, they know how to use a shopping cart to check out on a shopping cart, so you just need to copy what's already there. So if you're looking for social media, don't build your own. You can use Facebook, you can use Twitter, you can just use the things that are already there that your members already feel comfortable using. And that's the closing points. Thank you. I'll pass back to you.
So thank you very much for your insights and that dipstick survey that you have done on us. I don't think this was done at least during any of these sessions now. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, and thank you very much, the entire audience. Again, I'm really thrilled to see the hall packed. This never happens. So I must congratulate the organizers, and I think all of you have been very good people. God bless.
Thank you so much. Our panelists, give a round of applause for them.